Okay, the 2017 paper.
Okay, the 2017 paper, second half of the multiple choice. Following list describes changes which take place during temperature regulation in mammals. Okay, which of these changes takes place in response to a decrease in body temperature? Okay, so you are cold. Okay, so if you're cold, what would happen? So if you're cold, well, you would shiver, but we have no information about that. Okay, the hairs on your body, okay, will try and go upright so that they can trap a layer of insulating air. So for that to happen, the hair erector muscles need to contract. So if you're cold, we've got contraction of the hair erector muscles. And also, we are looking at trying to shut down some of that radiative heat loss from the skin. So what I'm going to do is just close down skin arterioles. So I'm going to go for vasoconstriction, so hence C. Okay. Question 12. We have a bacterial plasmid with restriction sites for 3 different restriction endonucleases, SAL1, EQR1 and BAMH1. Which row in the table identifies the number of fragments produced if the plasmid was cut with the following combinations? To be honest, I don't think this is a difficult question. It looks a little bit difficult, but it's just cutting and counting. So let's do the first one, SAL1 and BAMH1. So SAL1 is the X, so I'm going to cut here and cut here. Okay, but I'm also going to cut with BAMH1, so I'm going to cut with that one there. So how many fragments have I ended up with? Okay, I've got a fragment, oh, where are we going? Okay, I've got a fragment going from here to here, so that's 1. And then I've got another one going around here, so that's 2, and another one here, so that's 3. So I'm good for these ones. Okay, and I'm just going to rub it out so you can see it a little bit clearer again. If I was in an exam, I'd probably have to use 2 different colours of pen. Okay, so I've got SAL1 and EQR1. So SAL1 I'm going to cut again with my X's. Okay, and this time I'm going to cut with the circles. Okay, and let's do the count again. Okay, I've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just for consistency's sake. So B. Okay. Question 13. Inbreeding depression is a result of. This is a straight KU thing. Okay, so what we're looking for here is an increase in the number of deleterious recessive alleles that are building up to the point where you see them. Okay, so it is D. All of the rest of them are the opposite of inbreeding depression. Okay, an increase in the heterozygotes would reduce the number of deleterious recessives that you're going to see. Variable populations obviously not going to have inbreeding depression, and crossbreeding for improved characteristic is going to bring in new variation as well, so it's not any of those. Question 14. Livestock production generates less food per unit area of land than crop production because, it's a straight KU question again for this one. What you need to know is that as you go up a food chain, like, then you lose energy. You should know that from Nat 5, little pyramid of energy thing. Okay, we're expecting that your energy loss is in the range of like 90%. Okay, so you're only getting 10% transfer between each level of the food chain. And really what's making it higher is the fact that we're using this term trophic levels. Okay, and so therefore C. The other 2 that are in there are odd in some ways. Livestock production, degrading natural resources, poorly managed livestock production would degrade natural resources, but at the same time, poorly managed crop production would do the same. It's easier for crops to grow crops and raise livestock in difficult habitats. You could argue that actually the other way around, because you could argue there are livestock that can survive in places that plants and crops generally struggle. Okay. Question 15. Table shows optimum, maximum and minimum temperatures for the growth of some crop plants. Which of the following predictions is supported by the evidence in the table? Okay, right, so we've got our optimum for maize is 22 to 26, but it can survive up to 34 and it could survive also down to 22. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking at for information for each of them. So let's just work through the information. Maize will grow at a lower temperature than soybeans. Okay, so maize can get as low as 20, but soybeans 10 to 14, so nope. Rice will grow at a higher temperature than a soybean. So rice can make it up to 40 degrees. Soybean has exactly the same, so it's not at a higher temperature, so that's not right. Rice will grow in a narrower range of temperatures than maize. So rice in total goes from 18 to 40. Okay, maize is 20 to 34. So no. Okay, wheat will grow in a wider range of temperatures than potato. Potato can grow, taking our minimum at 12 and our maximum at 34. Wheat minimum at 5 and our maximum at 38. Yep, wheat wins. There we go. Okay. Okay, I left this question in even though actually it's out of the national course in terms of like the SQA list that they gave us saying what questions can still be in, and you don't have to be able to run this. It'd be nice if you could see how it works. Okay, we're looking for the diploid number of this crop plant at the top. What you're told is that you started off with this one here, and this produced an F1 sterile hybrid, and then we had artificially inducing it to double. So the reason it's not considered to be part of the course content anymore is because the term polyploidy is no longer part of the course content, and that's the doubling. Okay, so what you need to do is to work your way back. So if this one was 2n equals 28, that means the n, the gamete it passed on, was 14. Okay, this one here has a 2n of 42. But remember, this has been artificially doubled. So this means that it must have been, up here, it must have had 21. Okay, its 2n must have been 21, what it was given. So 14 of that came from this one here. So that means that 7 of it came from this one, which means the 2n for this one must be, we're going 7 and 7, must be 14. Okay, so I would like you to be able to understand it, because I could still see something like that as a problem solving being a thing. Question 17. Following statements describe symbiotic relationships between organisms. We've got, which of these relationships can be described as parasitic? Okay, the definition of parasitic relationship is where you have one organism which is benefiting while it harms the other one. Okay, so mistletoe plants absorb nutrients from apple trees on which they grow. Well, yeah, the mistletoe is definitely the parasite here. It's absorbing nutrients, so it's taking it from the apple tree, and the apple tree does not have them. And it's not gaining anything from that. So one is parasitic. Okay. Egyptian plover birds clean the teeth of Nile crocodiles and feed on the debris they remove. So the plover birds are getting the debris, which is helping them, and it's also cleaning the teeth of the crocodiles. So the crocodiles therefore don't have like rotting stuff damaging their teeth. So both of these, this is not parasitic because both of them are benefiting. Okay. Tapeworms live in the small intestines of the pigs and absorb some of their nutrients. Tapeworms benefit. Pigs are not getting the nutrients because the tapeworms are taking them. So we're going with that. Okay. 18. Resveratrol is a substance which may reduce the risk of heart disease. Using recombinant DNA technology, E. coli bacteria now produce it. Okay, when grown in a medium containing coumaric acid. Okay, so we've got concentrations of the two things, the one you're producing and the one that you have to add in to make it happen, in the medium over a 30-hour period. Simplest whole number ratio of the concentration of resveratrol, I can't say it properly, to coumaric acid after 25 hours is. So 25 hours, okay, it's a double axis graph, just make sure you read it to the right side. So 25 hours, I'm looking for the resveratrol, this one, as my first part, so I'm going to read that off first. So this is the dotted line and I'm reading to this side, it is 100, okay, and then I'll read my acid to the other side, okay, it's here and there, so that's 10, so that is a 10 to 1. Okay. Question 19. Which row in the table identifies how the bottleneck effect and how habitat corridors may change the genetic diversity of a population? So if you have a bottleneck effect, what you're saying is you have gone through a small population number, and so all of the genetic diversity that you have left is what was in the individuals that went through the bottleneck. So that's got to decrease it, like has to decrease the overall genetic diversity. A habitat corridor, on the other hand, is trying to increase the flow of different individuals' genetic material. So that should increase genetic diversity. So the correct answer is B. And that's all of the appropriate ones that are left in that paper.